Hello again, and welcome to another episode of the Fun Fans Podcast. I'm your host, James Dillard. With me, as always, my co-host, Bailey Jackson. How you doing, Bailey?
Boom! I am doing good. Go Tigers!
Boom.
Big
We're
win
back
this
in the hunt,
weekend.
baby. We're
That's
back
right.
in the hunt.
That's
Back
right.
in the hunt. We're going to talk about that. We have a great show. We have a interview with country music singer Lee Newton. We're going to talk about Clemson being back in the hunt for the ACC title and plenty of other fun fan football talk to share. But first, the Fun Fans are a proud part of the Fanboys Fangirls Sports Podcasting Network. If you're a true sports fan, the Fanboys Fangirls is perfect for you. Find various nationwide podcasts and other sports media at thefanboys.com and on all forms of social media. The Fun Fans Podcast is the official podcast for Clemson fans.
And don't forget about Ruben's Food, Sports, Spirits, and Catering, the best wings around, with 2 locations in the upstate to serve you. 1083 Batesville Road in Greer and 11028 Anderson Road in Piedmont. You can find them at rubensc.com. Hey, Rubens is simply a great place to eat for all Tiger fans and all sports fans.
All sports fans. Cool. All right, let's roll this interview. It's great. So this week we have an artist on the show. This young lady grew up in Western North Carolina, and the town of Canton is her hometown. And she's a 3-time Josie Music Award winner, including the Josie Music Awards Vocalist of the Year in 2020. She has received numerous accolades and is currently promoting her latest album, Unleashed, and her hit song, Carolina, under the McKinley Records label. She's opened or performed with legends such as Randy Travis, Ronnie Millsap, Ronnie McDowell, T. Graham Brown, Diamond Rio, the Gatlin Brothers, T.G. Shepherd, Edwin McCain, Leona Williams, and even sang backup with some of the original members of Leonard Skinner. Her personal sound is a mix between traditional country, rap-y blues, and a southern rock flair to her voice. And finally, we've seen her perform live at Wayne Buckingham's Orange and White Gala in Clemson just a few weeks ago. So please welcome to the show, Miss Lee Newton. Lee, how are you doing today?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful, and I'm so glad to be here with you guys tonight.
We're glad to have you.
So, Lee, I'm going to tell you now, if you sang with Randy Travis, my grandmother up in heaven is looking down, and she's very jealous because she loved Randy Travis and had a picture of him in her kitchen. So when she was cooking, she could talk to him. So anyway.
That is so, awesome. Now, when I see him again, because it is coming up, I think that there's something in the works for me to do another show, possibly in the future. So I will tell him about that.
There you go.
Well,
that is grandma.
Yeah, she is smiling somewhere right now, I promise you. So what are you up to these days? What's going on with Lee Newton?
Wow, there's always so much going on. Right now, I just got through coming back from Illinois last weekend doing a show up there, and it was so awesome. It's the first time I'd ever went to Illinois. Did one for Keeping It Country. It was Country at the Station, at Penn Station in Arthur, Illinois. Super amazing place. So now getting ready. Going into October, I'm starting work on my new country album. This is at the very beginning, but getting ready to start going into the studio. I've got a duet that I'm getting ready to record with Danny Kinsey, another country artist, and then getting ready for the Josie Awards this year. I'm up for 8 nominations for the Josies, and plus getting to perform, which is going to be at the Grand Ole Opry House. So I just found out I get to close the show.
All right.
Oh, wow. That's a big deal. You ever been to the Grand Ole Opry, Bailey?
I have. I had an artist that had invited me to come backstage. It was the first time I'd ever went to the Grand Ole Opry, and it was the day that Carolina was released. So it made it even more special. And then I've been a couple more times and got to take little Cash with me, and he got to go and stand in the circle. But this will be the first time ever performing there. Like I said, it'll be for the JMA Awards. But hopefully maybe this will open the Opry's eyes, and maybe they'll invite me back for the Grand Ole Opry show.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right. That's extremely cool. Speaking, we met you through Wayne Buckingham's Orange and White fundraiser in Clemson. So tell the folks, how did you get hooked up with Buck? How do you know him? How did that
Well,
start?
I released my EP album, which was Undamaged, and it had a song called Strength of a Woman on there. And through Music Dreams USA, they had done an interview with me, one of the first ones that had interviewed me, and they were really good friends with Wayne. Well, they set me up with Wayne to do an interview, and it's like me and Wayne just clicked. He was like my brother from another mother, and he has been since then. But he fell in love with Strength of a Woman, the song. And every year I've went, he's asked me to come. I missed the first year, but I've been there. This was the third year that I've been, and it just feels so great. And the thing about it is, and I'm sure you know this. I mean, I'm a Bama fan, all Bama. And they have literally from day one, they knew that I was a Bama fan, but everybody from Clemson has just kind of embraced me and been so sweet. And I swear, like, I found myself putting on my Clemson shirt the other day, like walking around the house. I mean, but it's all for a good cause. And that just goes to show you at the end of the day, when you're raising money to help people, it don't matter what side you're on. Everybody comes together and you work together and you become family. So that's what Wayne is to me, and everybody else that I've met through Clemson. They've just become a family.
Right. That's what I was thinking. Welcome to the family. So
yeah.
That's awesome.
So had you ever been to Clemson before, or it was just for the events?
Nope, I had never been to Clemson. The first year that I went, I'll never forget. I was like, okay, so I'm going to have to, I've got to wear a Clemson shirt. I feel like I need to do that, to show respect. And so I remember buying my first Clemson shirt and running into Grace and Marshall right outside of the door. And we walked up there to the autograph signing, and, him and Harold were just so nice to me, and, Cliff Ellis. And then, of course, Coach Danny, we talked the whole Alabama football, and it's just been a great experience from day one. So
very cool. Well, being a Bama fan, do you get to go see do you go to their games ever?
Well,
or any
and
of their
I'll be
sporting events?
honest, with everything that I've had going on, when my older kids were a little bit smaller, I would take them to Tuscaloosa and we'd go to the games, and just, I fell in love with the history and just Coach Saban and just the whole history of, Alabama and Bear Bryant and just, all of that. And my kids loved it. And actually my older daughter, when she was going to college, her first acceptance letter was to Alabama. She ended up going to Mississippi State. She just graduated there last year. So
congrats.
Didn't get no Alabama in there, but
well, it's like Godfather 1 and 2 movies. You mentioned Bear Bryant and Nick Saban all in the same sentence.
Right.
I know.
Right.
I know. I mean, and it's, and like I said, years and years and years ago, I mean, I was in my teenage years, I didn't know anything about football, or I didn't even know what I was watching, and I remember somebody had given me a Tennessee hat. And I put that Tennessee hat on, not knowing a lot about football. And when I was with my ex-husband, he grabbed the hat and threw it out the window and said, "No, if you're going to be with me, you're going to be at Alabama." And I have just ever since, but I learned the game and I learned the history, and I loved watching all the other teams play. And there's just a lot of respect. Now, there's a few teams I just be like, but there's some like Clemson, Georgia. I just have just a mad respect when we play them. So it's just a respect thing.
Very good.
Well, so clearly Alabama's your team. Do you live in Nashville now?
I don't. I live in Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I live in Carolina. I've always lived in Carolina, but I do go back and forth to Nashville a lot.
Okay.
just between all the traveling and then, a lot of the interviews, some of the TV shows that I have been on, which that's getting ready to come out. I just filmed a huge thing for season 5 of Today's Nashville with Terry Squire, and it's on one of the gospel networks that airs in Nashville. And so I'm so proud of it because I got to talk about the new album, my new gospel album.
Okay.
But I got to tell my story and my journey, which was really great. And the gospel album, I mean, I've got duets on there with like Joe Bonzo with the Oak Ridge Boys and Rhonda Vincent, Queen of Bluegrass, and T. Graham Brown and Deborah Allen and Tony Jackson. I mean, I'm very proud of it, and it's actually been submitted by a Grammy member to possibly, hopefully, we'll know in October if it got on the first ballot of the Grammys. So
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Fingers crossed. So speaking, kind of looping back to the Orange and White Gala, is that something that you think you'll be a part of year in and year out?
Yes,
Hopefully,
most definitely. And I talked to Coach Buckingham, and he was saying, he wanted me to embrace it like, he's embraced it like his baby. He wants me to do and start maybe even bringing in some of my friends and making the music side of it a little bit more bigger as far as bringing some of the country artists and stuff in.
Nice. Yeah, we hope to keep being a part of it and get our production a little bit, better. That was like almost like a trial run.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I loved the fact that the gala and just everything was just it was a hot day.
It was hot.
Woo!
Mm.
It was hot.
It was hot.
It was so good.
It was good.
It was great.
So where can folks that watch or listen to us, where can they find your music?
Well, you can go to my website, Lee Newton Official, and it's Lee, Lee, NewtonOfficial.com. And, or you can find me on any social. I mean, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. If you look at me, you better hit the subscribe or the follow and tell me that you saw me on here, and I'll follow you back. I love interacting with everybody.
Cool.
I used to be able to do a lot more, but it has gotten a lot on the road a lot. It's kind of hard to answer everybody back.
It's tough. Obviously, I found you on Spotify, and it's just good stuff. So everybody listening needs to find some Lee Newton, and we'll post stuff when we post the show and post this interview. And it's an easy search on Spotify, just like Fun Fans is an easy search on Spotify.
Yes.
Yeah, we're all there together. So, Lee, we appreciate your time. We appreciate you being on. It's nice to meet you, and we look forward to all of your future accomplishments here in the near future.
Thank you so much. And be looking for the new album. I will have a Christmas album this year. And also we'll be doing, and I got to put this really quick. Me and my husband, he's an artist as well. We are doing with, I know, Grover Schenkel. We're doing a huge first concert in Statesville. We're just getting ready to announce it, but it's a really big concert. It's the first ever concert that we're doing together. So I'm pretty excited. That'll be in November 18th. So
okay,
sounds good. Awesome. Thank you very much. We appreciate you being on.
Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. See you guys.
Hey, she's a hoot.
That's right.
And those two guys interviewing her were very handsome.
I agree. I mean, so the awards she's up for are for independent country music singers. So that's pretty cool. And I have been to the Grand Ole Opry.
Okay.
I have not been inside, but I was last December at the Grand Ole Opry.
Well, we went to a show once. We've only gone once. It was really cool. So we appreciate Lee, and that was a fun interview, and we'll hopefully see her again sometime, either at a concert and definitely at the Orange and White event next weekend with Wayne Buckingham. Now on to some football. Clemson back in the W column, winning record again, went up to Syracuse, took care of business. And so Bailey, got any initial thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I thought I did. I didn't watch it live, but I was able to watch it again yesterday afternoon. And it's a place that we typically don't play well. And we pretty much dominated the game. That's my thoughts. Now, somebody else on here was blowing up Twitter, and I don't know what for really. So I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We did not. I don't think the score looks good. You know, if it's one of those things where Clemson went to Syracuse and 31-14 or whatever the final score was, but it was way too close. And here's why. It's not because Syracuse, they were 4-0 and they had put together some good games, but honestly, they didn't play well. They had tons of penalties for tons and tons of yards. We created or they had, multiple turnovers. And it was almost like we almost, we couldn't put it away. And it's the same thing. A lot of the fans have kind of complained about or whatever, and nothing's perfect and nothing's ever, gloried. I'm not getting into the spoiled thing. I'm getting into it's like we can't learn our own lesson. It's unbelievable how we continue to do things when the game is within or any point in time that are, it shouldn't be risky, but the way things are going this year, it's just too risky. And I don't understand how we're running the ball very, very successfully, and then we run a swing pass to a tight end. Who runs swing passes to a tight end?
Well, Clemson.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I'm gonna again. It was a dominant performance, and I don't care. Yeah, it was. Maybe it got to 10. It was 24-7, and then it got to a 10-point game. But that was and they had some penalties and they had some turnovers. But you know what? Okay,
that's part of the game. I get it.
I understand. I am never, ever, ever, and you know this about me. I'm not going to question the coaches because I've spent 27 years of my life being questioned. So I'm not going to do that. What I will say is it's a place we never play well, and we won the game 31-14. And we won, more importantly, we won the game.
We won the game, and that's definitely important. And I don't, I'm about to flip the script on, I coached and everything I do gets questioned. So why shouldn't everything they do get questioned? They get paid way more money than any other coach I know. So
I agree.
Is it really going to hurt? If somebody lets them know, and if I ever get asked, do you think you could do better? Yes, I could. I have called plays before. Yep. I can recognize offenses and defenses and stuff. And I'm not stubborn. Old school high school football coaches with a team as talented as Clemson I've told you before, it's like we're too smart we're too good for our own good. Just a little more to basics.
The only thing I would do, and I talked to our football team last week about how we had won 3 games in a row. We were 3-2 and that kind of thing. But even if we make adjustments as we move out, through the season, we still have to tackle people. We still have to block people. It doesn't matter what adjustments you make. You still block, you tackle, you do the little things. The whole idea was the little things. Continue doing that. Well, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Clemson, ball security is an issue sometimes, but I was not disappointed in what I saw yesterday. I'm going to go with I think they can win the rest of their games. Yes. And I really believe that 5 or 6 plays throughout the year, but that you can never get back, that they would be undefeated. And they would be right there in the top 5 because I really think they're that good. And I don't think the defense is playing lights out. I mean, you can say what you want to, but you can look at the stats. Dabo thinks it's one of the best defensive teams he's ever had. So that's saying
playing
a lot.
Great. And I mean, Cade's throwing the ball. I think everybody's doing really, really well other than the turnovers. It just comes down to, with the way this season's going, if we're going to throw a quick out, we need to throw that to the short side of the field, and it needs to come out really, really fast. We almost there were two almost pick sixes.
I saw that.
And then the swing on the, with who run a swing pass, the person on the swing, theoretically, you're supposed to be able to outrun the defender, so it's generally a running back lined up against a linebacker. We're swinging it to the tight end. And that just
maybe that's part of the genius of our offensive coordinator.
Yeah, well,
I'm just telling you,
not super genius.
Look, dude, I'm telling you. I had a guy last Thursday. He says Dabo's a dummy, okay? And I said, this guy, Dabo Sweeney, that you're referring to, and he's a Clemson fan.
Right.
He says Dabo's a dummy. And I said, okay, so let's look at the last 10 or 11 years of Clemson football. I said, Dabo's the architect of that. I said, so I'm not a fan that yells at the television. I do not yell at the television. He said, oh, you probably yell at the television. I said, I don't yell at the television. I don't yell at the games. I yell at the games to cheer for my team. So I'm not ever going to be that guy. I'm not going to do it. And it's just how I am. I love Clemson, and I'm going to pull for them. I'm not going to be, as I read a quote this week from Frank Howard. You got to watch out for those sawdust fans.
Yeah.
They come out of the woodwork when they're winning, and they disappear when they're losing, and they create a lot of sawdust.
Right. Well, I've been around since the 70s. I ain't going nowhere.
No, so I'm all in, baby.
And I don't think they're dummies. They're really smart, but I think they're being a little stubborn. I mean, come on, you about got to admit, and the stubbornness is getting a little bit old. And I'm not talking about the wide receiver screens. If it's there, everybody harps on that. It's just a little too much on the it's, I don't know, trying to be too smart, trying to be too fancy. But you said something that can segue us into the other part about how we can win the rest of our games. We're definitely good enough
exactly right
to win the rest of our games, which goes back to why we are in the hunt. We are back in the hunt, and it's not because I saw somebody thinking that Notre Dame beating Duke was, gave them one of the 3 losses that don't even count.
Pay attention,
that don't even
people.
count. Pay attention. That's right. But Duke still has to play Florida State, NC State, Miami, North Carolina, a couple other folks. And it is extremely unfortunate. And I don't know what the biggest report is, but obviously Duke is beatable. Notre Dame it's like they let their foot off the gas and gave them the opportunity to come back. And it's extremely
unfortunate. Duke's quarterback got hurt.
That's exactly what I was getting to. And I don't know what that is, but it looked like at minimum a high ankle sprain, if not fracture. So he's I'm just guessing he's going to be out a minute. And even when a lot of times, even when especially if you try to come back too fast, and he's the engine of their offense. I mean, everybody agrees on that. He's a very good player. Good player. So I think it is extremely I felt like it was highly likely before anyway, because I said last week that us losing to them was a fluke. And I think it was likely they were going to get 3 losses anyway. And now I think it is almost inevitable that they will get 3 losses. So we are in the driver's seat. We control our own destiny. We can be number 2 in the conference and play for a conference championship. And if we play for a conference championship, you know what that means? You got a chance to win it. So we're back in the hunt.
Here's the deal. North Carolina, very good.
They're good.
Got to play at Miami. They're pretty good. Got to play at NC State, and that's a terrible place to play.
Yes.
It's not a hard place to play. It's a terrible place to play.
Yes.
Been there, done that. All right. So, listen. Control what you can control. One game at a time, James. That's what we're doing.
One game at a time. So
starts next week at 3:30.
3:30. We'll get to that in a second. But speaking of Notre Dame and Duke, did you watch? That was a good game. It was a great game. Did you watch the game?
I'm gonna lie to you and say I watched some of it, but I was kind of slumbering, taking a nap.
Well, the bottom line is, did you see the end? Did you see how it ended?
No, I just on the highlights.
That was, well, that's fine. That was unreal. The way Notre Dame, Sam Hartman on that 4th and 16, and then I assumed they were just running the ball to run some timeout, and they were going to kick a field goal. But then the guy bust. They didn't look like they let him go on purpose, but and then they ended up covering. You realize it was a 5.5 or 6.5, depending on what time you placed for those outside of this podcast.
I don't gamble, so I really don't
bets.
know.
They went from losing the game, down by a point, to covering a 5.5, 6.5 point spread in 2 plays.
Right.
It was a turn in Vegas.
If you've ever watched ESPN and seen Scott Van Pelt, he has the Bad Beats segment on his, and it's great.
That was definitely on there. All right, the Colorado we talk about the prime. Is this going to be the last week we talk about the Colorado prime timers? Because here's what happened. I don't know if you watched. They got hammered again. They come back. They only lost by 7. Once again, it's one of those things. If all you see is the score, well, Colorado was close. No, it wasn't. And for them to come back and even get that close at the end, in my opinion, says something more about USC, the real USC, than it does the Colorado primetimers. They talk about taking your foot off the gas and letting somebody back in the game and, kind of expose their defense a little bit. So they needed to maintain their energy. So they needed some W energy drink. Scan this QR code or go to WGG, w.gg, and enter code FUNFANS for 10% off. It's no jitters. It's my afternoon. It's very refreshing. Way more than it. So I've replaced my afternoon cup of coffee with that stuff, and it's really good. It's much more refreshing, and it's, as far as kind of getting unsleepy, I don't get all hyper or whatever. You just get unsleepy, just like
you get locked in.
Get locked in a little bit better.
Finish the day off.
That's right.
Maybe I should do that.
You should. You should get your QR code, or just go to WGG and enter promo code FUNFANS. All right.
Do you know it was created for gamers? Like,
I saw that.
It would lock you in to game all night.
I'm not a gamer, but I get locked in just to finish the beautiful work day.
Listen, when I put this recliner back in recline position, it's good night, Irene.
That's locked in.
Yeah.
That's what's called being locked in.
That's what I call locked in.
All right. Other notable games real quick. Our friends in Columbia had a big conference loss. Did you see what Rattler said about this was their Super Bowl?
I do not pay attention to Spencer Rattler's comments.
Y'all, if you watch this show, we don't go there. I'll give our own coaches a hard time more than giving our rivals, picking on them or whatever. But he made reference to, good for Tennessee. It was like it was their Super Bowl. I'm like, come on, man. No,
that's the last weekend in November, big boy.
Well, and it was a revenge. It was a revenge game and all, but good Lord.
Absolutely. You don't think they were mad about last year?
Jeez.
Of course they were. Carolina's offensive line is inept. All right, so fix that, Spencer.
That's right.
That's all I'm saying.
All right. What about any other games? I'll tell you what was a good game. Just one more. And we talk about the fun games on here. I know there's Texas one and also Michigan, blah, 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 whatever. That's for everybody else to talk about. We talk about the fun games. Ole Miss versus LSU. That was a fun game to watch. If you didn't get a chance to see that one, that was a close one. And obviously not a fun game if you're an LSU fan. But see, all right, so let me ask you a quick question, Bailey. LSU now has the same record as Clemson. They've lost to Florida State, so that's one of the same teams as Clemson. And they've had a conference loss just like Clemson. So LSU is going to fall all the way out of the rankings, right?
Well, they should, but there's the Clemson bias, and it's a negative bias.
Yeah, and there's a positive SEC bias. So
right,
not hold my breath on that one, but just please make note.
Kentucky looked really good.
Kentucky looked good. Yeah. So I want to point out one more thing. We played 5 games. Some teams have played 6. There are still 11 of this past week's top 25 that are undefeated. 11. And a couple outside of the top 25 are undefeated. You got Kentucky. You got teams like Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma's kind of a sleeper team. They could sneak in there and do something big as the season unfolds. It's going to be fun. September's over. I think October is going to be an extremely fun month for college football fans. Very decisive stuff going to happen this month for conference championship games and the playoffs. Any other games, Bailey? Uh-oh. Bailey froze. We're going to reset Bailey because we need him to give us an update on the Orioles and or the Ryder Cup. And we might end up doing that Wednesday. So speaking of Wednesday, we will be back Wednesday night at 8:30 with maybe a little more thoughts on the game, any news coming out of Clemson, and see if we can get him back in here like that. All right, you back? Now we can see him and not hear him. Uh-oh. All right, so Bailey, be ready Wednesday with an update on the Orioles. I think they clinched something. And I just want to do one more quick thing. Wednesday night, 8:30, we'll be back. This Saturday is homecoming. Let me try this again. He looks like he's ready. This Saturday is homecoming. It's going to be big. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a big tailgate. Wake Forest is coming. 3:30 is the perfect time, right, B? He probably can't hear me now. So all kind of technical difficulties, fun fans, but that's okay. We're about to wrap up the show anyway. Real quick, I have a prayer request. We just interviewed Lee Newton. She was introduced to us through Wayne Buckingham. If you didn't know, Buck had a heart attack earlier in the week, so they're keeping him, getting him better and better. So hopefully, hadn't got an update in the past couple of days, but hopefully he's doing well. So keep the prayers going for Buck. We live in the Spartanburg area. Anybody familiar with the upstate? Chesney High School lost at least 3, if not 4, of their students in a car wreck Friday afternoon. So keep the prayers going for Chesney High School. And if you don't mind, we've talked about my mother-in-law before and her going through her chemo, et cetera, and she is not doing very well. So I would appreciate any prayers for my mother-in-law. Bailey, I was just asking for some prayers for some folks, included Chesney High School. Did you hear about that?
I did, and I lost you there for a minute.
Yeah.
Not sure what exactly happened, but yes, terrible. Been to the school before that had that situation, and it's not good. So
not good. So hey, all right, you're back.
As a former Chesney High School coach,
yeah,
I would say yes, we are definitely thinking about Chesney.
Yeah, my school and my daughter's volleyball team, we will be at Chesney Tuesday for volleyball. So we will probably might put some hands on some folks and pray for them. So we're definitely lifting them up this week. And like I said, don't forget about my mother-in-law and my family on that side, because she's back in the hospital not doing too good. So, but anyway, you want to give us a quick update on the O's, just real quick?
Hey, American League East Division champions. It is the story of all stories, James.
I know.
They lost 110 games 2 years ago. It's incredible. Brings tears to my eyes. It was a great night the other night. It was great.
Awesome. You know what else is incredible?
Diamond Edge Products, baby.
Diamond Edge Products.
These guys have mastered a diamond laser engraving process, and they can put almost any design on items such as license plates, yard signs, tumblers, water bottles, and more for a high quality, forever lasting custom engraved product. Check out Diamond Edge Products at diamondedgeproducts.com, or you can email Jaylin, Jaylin at diamondedgeproducts.com for more info. Also, Diamond Edge Products is now an officially licensed partner with Clemson University. So you can get to all your
swag. I'm glad he came back long enough to do that promo, because I hadn't read that thing in a while. But He's frozen again, and that's hilarious. I'm not taking that off the screen. If you're listening on audio, you're missing out on that. And we do appreciate Lee Newton spending time with us today. We appreciate you spending time with us today. Don't forget about the ladies from United Row. Go to unitedrow.org. All right. unitedrow.org. Check out their stories. Support these ladies. I got my shirt on, got my Salt Life United. I can't figure out United Row shirt going here. Scroll to the bottom of their website and get you one of these. Super, super sweet, super comfortable shirt. They're going to row across the Pacific and support IPTA's Hear Her Roar. It feels good to be back in the hunt. And join us Wednesday night for more. So thanks again for checking us out each and every week. Don't forget to click subscribe on the Fun Fans Podcast YouTube channel, as well as your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on social media and share. Please, all archive shows can be found on thefanboys.com website. Links will also be posted along with the show on Facebook and Twitter. So on behalf of the Fun Fans Podcast, J Thrill Entertainment, the Fanboys Fangirls Podcast Network, and I think Bailey Jackson's back. He's saying thanks for listening, I'm sure. Go Tigers.